Mayor, Council, this is Tanya. I believe I was called for. We have no audio online, so if I'm interrupting, I'm sorry. Hello, check, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is Tanya. I guess I'll go ahead with my report. We still have no online audio. Um, the COVID report as numbers are lower across the state or across the nation, which is good. Wastewater is still low. However, wastewater in New Mexico, there are three sites that are multiple sites that report, but the one for Bernalillo County, even though it's still considered minimal, we have had a 200% increase over the last 15 days of COVID virus in the wastewater. We have as of May 1st, the CDC changed the reporting requirements for hospitals. However, New Mexico hospitals are still reporting. Right now, there are 20 people with COVID in the hospital, with 4 in ICU. And flu, influenza, there are 10 people in the hospital with no one in ICU with influenza. Influenza's season is officially over, which is nice, and everyone's got nice low numbers. Um, H, highly pathogenic avian influenza, which has been in the news a lot. The CDC announced today that they will start tracking and releasing public wastewater data on that. We have 3 sites that'll be tracking wastewater for H5N1 in New Mexico. So far, 2 of them just started at the end of March. There is no data to report at this time on that. We are seeing, we've had 2 people in the United States. The last person that got H5N1 was diagnosed April 28th or 29th. That was related back to sick poultry. So please, if you have sick or injured poultry or waterfowl can actually carry it without being sick. You need to mask, wear gloves if you're going to do anything with that animal, so you don't get it. No human-to-human transmission has been reported, and we will keep monitoring that. I would answer any questions, but I don't know if I can hear you yet.
chairperson for the last 6. I was very sorry to have not been present at the last council meeting when Chief Martinez was honored for his exemplary service to the village. I would like to second his great value to the village and to underscore his relationship to and work with the Bosque Advisory Commission. He attends every one of our monthly meetings and gives an informational report on issues that he thinks affect the Bosque. He has personally been present on site and helped to organize and staff projects to remove invasive Ravenna grass and to remove dead and down wood from the Bosque. Once he even enlisted the UNM Lobo football team to help with dead and down removal. Such efforts are important to reduce possible wildfire fuel loads. The Bosque Advisory Commission and rest of the village highly value the Bosque and open spaces. Not only has Chief Martinez and his department served our personal and public properties well, but they have helped to maintain the Bosque Nature Preserve as a unique jewel for Corrales. We would like to thank Chief Martinez for his dedication and efforts and offer a heartfelt second to his recent recognition. We would also like to thank Chief Mangiacapra and his department for helping to persuade people from illegal overnight camping there. Corrales is very fortunate to have such dedicated and capable people working for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to our Deputy Fire Chief, Tanya Lawton. I believe we might be working now, so we have one more. Todd Chowning, I think you might be able to hear us now. You have 3 minutes, sir, if you could give us your address as well.
Hello. Yes, I've been living in the village of Corrales since the 70s originally, and went ahead and have lived here nonstop since the mid 90s. Anyway, regular attendee of the market and in parades and whatnot. But noticing the market has shrunken in recent years, and I commented to Al about that, wondering why we didn't have music and arts and crafts, and he said that they don't want to attract the wrong kind of people, which is Spanky and the Squash Blossom Boys. But anyway, my friend and I got a breakfast burrito. We're sitting behind the breakfast burrito place, and he loops around to the field and starts cussing me out because I was questioning, because I said the market had gotten smaller. It used to be way better than Los Ranchos, and now it's smaller. Anyway, he cussed me up left and right, telling us that the breakfast burritos were to go and not for here, trying to kick us out. Anyway, I did some research trying to find out who's in, I'm going to allow the camera, sorry. Who's in charge of the market, and it sounds like nobody is. If you or I cuss someone out at our place of work, there would be consequences. I'm proud of the market. I wish it was larger. I wish it had music. I wish it allowed dogs. I just want it to be nicer and bigger. But either way, I think Al's mismanaging it at best, and at worst, he's abusive to the clientele. And I don't know that I found out that he's not really, and he doesn't answer to anyone except for potentially you guys. If you guys want to hold him accountable for anything he ever does now or in the future. Again, he cussed me, a citizen of 40 years of Corrales, out for just questioning why the market was smaller. And so I'm coming to you guys to help to actually hold someone who's representing my village accountable. Because the people at the Apple Tree Cafe complimented me, thanked me for standing up to him because he's a bully. They thank me since, and so yeah, he is a bully, and he runs it like a tyrant. I've heard from many different growers, local growers, that don't appreciate the way he treats them or runs the entire thing. And again, he's not accountable to anyone. So please do some research and find out how he could be accountable to anyone, which would be you guys. I sent a letter to the mayor, and I got nothing in return from the mayor until he found out I was going to bring this up at the village council. And it was Kurt and there was no courteousness in his reply, which I was despondent about because I'm a longtime resident, taxpayer. I'm a proud Coraleño. Let's just say that. And I really hope that you guys do something to control the growers market, and a person who's willing to cuss out one of his one of his taxpayers. I am upset about what went down. I know that I'm not at fault. I know that he lost my friend was there, a witness. Again, Apple Tree Cafe people were witnesses. Please feel free to ask anyone in the area that was there. It was last year. It was last summer. I'm sorry I didn't bring this up earlier, but either way, I wanted it to be brought to your attention so that potentially there can be repercussions for things that Al Gonzalez does with our growers market, which currently it doesn't seem like there are anything that we can do. He can do anything he wants to the growers market, and there's nothing that we can do.
Thank you, sir. That's your time.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. So we'll now move.
How'd that sound?
Now move on to Counselor's Forum. I didn't do my little preamble because it's on the other page, but again, this section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up? Okay. Counselor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So I attended the Coffee with Cops today, and it was well attended, and I thought that the police department did a bang-up job being present and answering people's questions. And thank you for the chief, because it was well attended, and I think it did a good job. Also, we had a water resource board meeting earlier this month, and we're working on the bylaws. And like a dummy, I volunteered to help them. So
I think that's good that you did, because if you hadn't, I probably would have had to.
well, yeah, but in the military, they told you never volunteer for anything. So, but anyway, I did. So we're working on the bylaws, which have not been updated since 2003. So we're working on that. And then also on the website, I noticed, I know Melanie told us that they did an update last meeting. But there are meetings that are archived that are not showing up on the website. And I think we need to take a look at that and make sure that those meetings go back so people can, and even me, can research those things that,
If you identify an issue, tell her, because she is talking to the company that did the upgrade, and they're finding the things and we had a discussion about that today in our staff meeting.
Okay.
To the department heads, if there are things that are missing, please let us know so we can talk to them, because they're not supposed to be missing.
True.
And we think it's sort of like, when you get an upgrade on your phone and all of a sudden your phone doesn't recognize who you are, that type of thing. We think the same kind of thing has happened here.
okay.
That
Anyways,
there's just a glitch somewhere.
that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I will say that I have talked to Al on a number of occasions, and this is not something that just happened last year. Because when I was the growers market manager many years ago, Al and I had these discussions. They have their own governance. They have a board of directors, and they should be doing what they need to control the situation if it does arise. And that's the other thing, it takes a little more than just telling somebody. You have to actually see what happens so you can address the issue, the problem. And they're the ones who actually have to do that. We don't have an agreement of any sort other than to allow them to use that property on Sunday morning. But that's where we are. Anybody else? Also, Meadowlark. We had money for Meadowlark in the legislative grant funds for Meadowlark this past legislative session. And Groman is working through a plan that he and I and Michael Chavez have worked on to do everything within the right of way or property that the village owns, so we do not impact any property owners' structures We don't have to worry about line of sight issues by doing it the way we've planned to do it. And we can put the bike trail, pedestrian trail on the north side of Meadowlark, reinforce the properties there with, this is actually going to be presented to the properties to get their input so we can have more information. It'll probably be done sometime this summer because it'll take that long before they're ready to start doing anything. They being the engineering people. Yes.
So Mayor, I think there was an issue down at the bottom of the Meadowlark about drainage. Is that?
Yeah,
being-
that drain's plugged. And that's part of the problem that I think Mr. Guerin is having. It doesn't drain.
Right.
So that's one of the issues we have to address to make sure it works. So that does go down and goes over to the Paseo de Corrales pond. And we're also going to put some reinforcing curbs on the side of the asphalt to preserve the asphalt so it doesn't deteriorate. And crusher fines and base course on the south side so it can be used for any number of things. You can walk on it, you can ride your horse on it, you can ride your bicycle on it. And then on the north side will be an asphalt trail. I can't remember how wide it is, but it does not impact driveways because we wanted to make sure that we didn't have somebody with a huge drop off of their driveway as we were moving up the north side of the road. But that'll be, did I do that right? No, that's good. Anyway, this is all going to be presented to the Meadowlark people sometime this summer when it's finalized. It's taken a bit of time to do that. Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
So the plans that were the original plan, I thought it was just only gonna be on the south side because the north side was too steep. So now it's.
Okay, so now we're going to have the walking path, the bicycle path on the north side. We have a way to do that without causing a negative impact or a problem or any issues. And then on the south side where the line of sight issue was, we're not going to deal with those at all. We're just going to stay in our right of way on our own property that we've identified, has been identified by surveys and has been walked by several people, including me, to be sure that we're okay and we have plenty of space and we don't have an issue with line of sight.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Okay. We'll have more later.
Okay. I was just going to ask about the equestrians. Are they going to be on the south side then?
Sure, they should be able to do that if they want to. There'll be plenty of room. It's really a huge amount of space on that side. The issue was not the space. The issue was being able to see someone coming down on their bicycle at 25, 30 miles an hour. Okay, so let's move on to, so nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to say anything. All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. There
Just
you go.
Real quickly, thank you. Probably not taking advice from the counselor down the end, volunteering for anything, but I will take a look at the Coloreño that first spoke about the situation with regards to, has there been some changes? And if you don't get any water, then how do you get your, so I will take it upon myself on your behalf on our behalf to take talk with the county and see if they're interested in making any motions during this upcoming 60-day session.
I think it's going to take a legislative up in Santa Fe action to change the way they do that, because that's apparently impacting a lot of people. This change in the agricultural exemption has
Right.
really caused a problem. I'm not quite sure that's all that she was talking about. She's also talking about the water issue, which we don't have much control over. And Jason Kasuga at MRZCD is going to come and do a presentation, I believe, sometime in June.
Okay, well, I just said I was gonna be.
Oh, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. Yeah,
Find
and I'm sure she will too. Yeah,
Find a legislative sponsor for that.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, let's move on to the consent agenda. We have approval of minutes for a regular council meeting, for a budget work study, and approval of proclamation 24-03 for motorcycle awareness.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make that motion probably not only because of the approval of the minutes, but item number 3, since I'm an avid motorcyclist, I'd like to be able to say, I made the motion to approve that proclamation that you're signing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second. Okay. Well, I think motorcyclists, they obviously take big hits. And because they are not readily observed by the average driver. And, you know, you look to turn and you're looking for cars. You're not looking for bicyclists or motorcyclists. And all too often they end up over at the emergency room at UNM. So,
As you went on, as you
Yeah.
well know.
so
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
anybody want to make any comments, discussion? So consent agenda, we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, good. Okay, new business. Consideration action approval of ordinance 24-05 regarding compliance with Article 9 of the New Mexico Constitution. This is really something that was in order to avoid a finding on our audit, because if you recall, we did the basically the trade with the church for our pipe access. And then we had a couple of businesses that went out of business and forgot to tell us that they went out of business. And so they were still getting charged for their sewer. And so in order to not have that finding, they've asked us to please demonstrate our compliance with state constitution by putting this in our ordinances. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
This is actually the second reading, I believe.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Is this the second reading, Sky? Yeah, okay. So we have a motion to approve in a second. Anybody want to discuss any more? How do you vote, Counselor Murray?
Yes.
Counselor Burkett?
Aye.
Counselor Knight?
Aye.
Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
Counselor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Number 2, consideration action approval of resolution 24-22, amending resolution 24-18 bar. This is a bar that was not accepted by DFA, and now we have to do it again. Is Raina,
Yes, she is on.
I may not have said that quite right, Raina. Can you perhaps?
Yes, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council. It's not that it wasn't accepted by DFA, but I had to amend. I took one line off from the first bar, and on the third bar, I added a line to it.
Okay. So it's just,
So I had to fix those before I could turn them into DFA.
okay. So it's just to make the paperwork right. Yes, sir, Councilwoman.
Mayor, if I could ask Raina a question. Raina,
We actually should probably have a motion first.
okay,
You want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the bar.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay. All right, Raina, Councilwoman has a question.
Raina, on the animal control, animal services monies, my understanding was that we didn't get money last year from Dennis Friends for the day-to-day operations, but rather for the animal services building. Is some of this money, can you explain where this money is, the 15,000 and 13,000 is coming from?
Yes, Councilor Waldman. This is not any new money. This is the money that they gave us for the animal control building. The reason that we're barring it is because money was received in one fund and it was spent out of another one. So I had to make some adjustments, and it also went over multiple years. So I had to make some adjustments to make it right on the book. So there is no more extra money coming in or no more extra money coming out. This is just moving it, moving the budget in this particular fund.
Very fungible. Great. Thank you, Raina. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Yes, sir, Councilwoman.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's here or whether it's a budget discussion, but what is the definition of an impact fee? Let me just see if I can find my notes. Impact fee professional services. It was in the budget discussion numbers, but it also shows up here on the last on impact fee interest.
Mayor, I can answer that.
Okay,
Councilor Waldman, the impact fee, that fund is for the Northwest sector. Professional services is for services that mostly WH Pacific is working on in that section of Corrales.
Okay, intersection. Great, thank you. That's all.
Okay, anyone else? Counselor Mira, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
Counselor Waldman,
Aye.
Counselor Knight,
Aye.
Counselor Burkett,
Aye.
Counselor Murray.
Aye.
All right, so now we move on to number 4, since we've removed number 3. Consideration action and approval of resolution 24-24 directing publication of notice of hearing for ordinance 24-06, repealing sections of the Village Code, Chapter 20, Article 2, relating to alarm permits. You may remember we did talk about this, but now we're going to publish and post to take it out. Does anybody have any questions or discussion, or perhaps questions of our police officers? Our police chief? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No discussion? Okay. Counselor Murray, how do you vote?
Aye.
Counselor Burkett?
Aye.
Counselor Knight?
Aye.
Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
Counselor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Number 5, consideration action approval of initiating contract negotiations with Roadrunner Waste, the recommended awardee of RFP 24-001 solid waste collection. We had to do another RFP because it has been several years. And so they won the contract. They're the ones who have been doing it for the last 5 years, 4 years. Well, I mean, it's been renewed.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it was renewed from that. So any questions? I'm not sure I can answer many of them, other than the fact that their prices appear to be about the same.
The price is about the same.
Yeah.
I've been approached a couple times about the exclusivity of their contract. When it comes to perhaps annual haulaways. People trying to do some work on their homes and they have excess wood or metal, things like that. They don't feel that they need to call Roadrunner to do that. That perhaps they could have a friend do it, or or have another company do it. And it would not be on a regular basis, but on an ad hoc, once a year basis, perhaps. And I think the contract, and I think Sherry Rice goes, she sees another company in the village doing some of that haul away, then she'll cite them, or cite the homeowner.
Do you want to take that?
Counselor, the main provision in the contract is if they have a roll off, then that roll off has to come from the contract holder, which is Roadrunner Waste. If somebody's just hauling trash for them, that falls into a slightly different grayer category. But we even experienced that here in the village, where we had when we were working on the planning and zoning, we had facility build had brought in their own roll-offs, and we had them to have them removed. That's the primary concern.
So if it's not a roll-off, if it's a very large truck and people can throw things into a truck, that's probably okay.
It's probably okay, but I would suggest that they check with us first.
Okay.
Just so that they don't find themselves in a situation where they're,
In violation of the.
yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Counselor Burkett?
Mayor, so I think I have an issue with the roll-off situation as well, that we're limiting our citizens' abilities to go out and get competitive bids for something that's happening completely on their private property. And I don't think that's something that we should do. So I would like to address that in the contract, because I mean, I don't think that's our role. Now, perhaps we can negotiate some sort of discount because we have that, but I think they should have the absolute opportunity to go out and bid that themselves and source that from whoever they want.
Okay.
Well, let me just say, as we go into the we're at a point now where we go into the negotiation with Roadrunner for prices and everything else. So that's something we can bring up.
Okay. One other thing to bring up too, when there was a change of ownership several years ago, there was talk about putting a green waste depository somewhere, and they said they were going to work on that. I don't know that that's happened other than for village cleanup days. So if that's something we could readdress in the negotiations as well, I think that'd be great.
Okay, we can do that. We only had one other bidder in the process.
Right.
And so we're dealing right now, Roadrunner is in a situation where within the last 5 years, within this terms of this contract, they were bought out by WCS, which Roll Waste Control Systems, which is a nationally traded system on the stock market.
Yep.
And so, but as we move into negotiation, we can consider those things.
Okay, I'm almost certain I have an email from them, from the corporation when they took over control of Roadrunner saying that that would be addressed. And I don't think it has, so I'll look for that and I'll forward it to you.
Council Murray, do you have something?
Yeah, I mean, we may not be able to do anything about this, but from the previous owner, we've gotten several perks when we've had events for porta potties and supply, things like that. I mean, can we entice the new company to keep that going, or are they going to discontinue?
Any of the things that we do within the village ourselves that are village sponsored, those are part of the contract that they've offered to provide as part of their contract. So it's the same as it was before.
Okay. So as my understanding though, that I think the tractor club had requested porta potties, but they were turned down by Roadrunner.
So they can go out and get their own.
Yeah, I understand. And I mean, it was nice feature that the previous owner provided for us. I just hope it might continue with the new owner.
The intention is to do that. That's actually in black and white writing. So
Okay.
that they provide it, because that was one of the questions that I actually brought up while we were going through the review of the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Bids.
Okay. Need a motion for approval. We didn't get a motion, did we? Need a motion for approval.
So moved.
I need a second, please. Okay, we've already had discussion ahead of time. Unless somebody has something else they want to talk about. Okay. Counselor Miera, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
Counselor Wellman,
Aye.
Counselor Knight,
Aye.
Counselor Burkett,
Aye.
Counselor Murray.
Yes.
Now, we're going to have discussion of changes to section 1-6 of the village code regarding the removal of the mandatory court fees. We have the judge here who's been waiting patiently to make her comments.
The royal wave.
Would you like to address this? They're going to change the law starting July 1st so that we can no longer charge court costs?
$29.
Yeah, $29 per,
Per
whatever.
case, per
Per-
charge, actually.
Okay.
So a little over a year ago at our legislature, there was a massive change for all the courts where, various legislators decided that low-income people should not be charged fees on their traffic violations, that they should be charged a fine only. And that they felt that the fees were counterproductive to various people's income. And so in order to rectify that, they basically said, well, we aren't going to fund our computers in our courts and the people staying overnight in the jail and the things like that through court fees. So it's happening statewide in all the courts that these fees, extra fees are being removed that are basically the kinds of things that kind of kept us buoyant in terms of our underlying costs of operation. So $29 per fine, any finding of guilt or no contest resulted in the fine plus $29. So the $29 is being removed as of July 1st. And this is what we all talked about a year ago after it had been passed. So now it's just a matter of implementation. In terms of the corrections account, which has been the $20 per case, I estimate that we have at least 4 years worth of money that will help us cover the cost of incarcerations still. Cost of incarcerations, as you know, has gone up to, I think, 125, 130 a night. But that'll be covered really for quite a while still, because there's a substantial amount in our corrections budget line item. The other things are the monies that we're going to AOC for our judicial education, the court clerk education, and the things like paying for that security system to run in this building. We do have a security system with cameras in the building. Paying for the cost of running that, the software, computer replacement. So those things will be more looking like we're a branch of government, but will look more like a regular department in the sense that those costs will just be part of, as you know already from our budget for this year, we'll be looking more like a department in the sense that those costs will just be from village coffers. Questions?
Counselor Murray.
Thank you. So, the cost of incarcerations, if we've got 4 years, then that means that we're gonna have to budget for that afterwards.
Yeah, although we may have more than 4 years worth, we don't spend a lot on incarcerations. People have to be significantly non-compliant to really be on a bench warrant or to be incarcerated. I think I only have one case in the last 6 to 10 months that I've actually issued incarceration as part of the sentence because our violations are very low level.
Yeah.
Very few people actually receive incarceration as part of their sentence. Usually it's bench warrants where I'm issuing a bench warrant because of a failure to appear, then they get taken in. And then they're there for between 1 and usually no more than 2 days. I make it a point to get here to make sure that I'm handling that arraignment immediately so that we're not spending a lot of money on people sitting for several days in jail. Because if you're in jail because you didn't provide your proof of registration, it seems to me that losing a job and sitting in jail is probably kind of unequal in terms of how it's balanced. So I do my best to make sure that people are usually out of jail within 24 to 48 hours.
But it's an eventuality.
Yes.
Okay.
Counselor Bolden.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 money questions. Will the removal of the $29 at all affect the monies that may be available for the parking lot that we talked about in the past?
No, the 175,000 has already been moved. It's being held in the village general fund for that project. And so at this point, no, that's already been moved out. I still have more than $100,000 to cover the next few years of incarcerations.
Great, thank you. And the second question is on court costs, community service. I notice that the current translation, for lack of a better word, of the hours that you would assign for community service as opposed to the fines is at the rate of about $7.50 an hour. And now,
Does it still say 750?
well, it says $7.50. So you're increasing it now to twice the state minimum wage, which is $12 times 2 is $24 an hour.
Yes.
So you're going, so I just want to be clear, you're going from $7.50 an hour, the equivalent to $24 an hour.
Yes, the state legislature mandated that. That wasn't by the choice of us.
Okay.
The state of New Mexico said that for all court community service, that would be the sum that would be allocated in the calculation.
That's insane.
Counselor Burkett.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, so just to clarify, it says 750 or prevailing minimum wage, but I think I had the same question, if that was an us issue or a state issue, because it seems ridiculous to pay people twice the minimum wage tax-free to do community service for an infraction of the law, whereas everyone else has only had to pay the minimum wage. But that seems like that's above our pay grade.
Well, we're not actually paying them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's community service. So let's say Counselor Knight has a fine of $75. So it's a ballpark of 3 hours of community service in terms of the credit she'll receive. So it's a credit situation. Nobody's actually receiving any money. but
Or somebody who didn't break the law can go work 7 hours to make that same amount of credit towards their groceries.
that is true. That's so the state of New Mexico's legislature created the number. And I think, it was all in that same spirit of we need to make sure that people can take care of that debt readily.
Counselor Knight.
Thanks, Mayor. So because of the decrease of the $29, did they just increase the fines then to kind of cover that?
Well, no, we actually talked about that. There's actually an exclusion currently in the state statute that doesn't allow us to lift up those fine amounts just yet. So that's something we can all continue to talk about is how to evaluate the uniform traffic code amounts and whether or not there will be a methodology for you to be able to lift those amounts up further. So that's something we will have to talk about.
Anyone else? Okay, we actually don't have anything to vote on. This was just to make everybody aware of the fact that we're gonna have to change our ordinance to delete the $29, so we are in compliance with the state statute. Thank you, Judge. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So that's actually finished the business. So announcements and future agenda items, we're going to do comprehensive plan update on May 28th. There'll be an update on the bond sale from Stifel Public Finance on the 28th. The ICIP approval is not set up until June 25th, but we can certainly find a time to talk about it again. And then, yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll have the budget plan that we took off tonight.
Right.
And then perhaps maybe we can determine what's the best way to approach this agricultural issue, the exemption status of agricultural properties, how we should do that, whether we would maybe pass a resolution to the legislature and say, hey, we'd like from, I don't know, you know, I don't want to stick them in the eye, but I do want them to pay attention to us.
Mayor, if I may, since you raised this, I was wondering if Ms. McGrath, I'm wondering if there's any kind of, not a document per se, but notes that you've taken or your group has taken or others have taken to assist us in really focusing in on this issue.
For the beginning stages right now, and that's why I asked for the council. We need to get the statute. I have spoken to a number of farmers in the village.
Mayor, point of order, microphone.
Yeah.
You can go to the microphone,
To the
so they can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my fault. Sorry, Ms. McGrath. It's my fault. I should have.
I've had conversations with some farmers in the village, and what we're at is the beginning stages. I just know that if I can't produce every 3 years receipts that show sales of crops from my field, I lose my agricultural exemption. So
And
we
there's
need to.
no provision for drought or
None.
or
There's
lack
no
of the
provision for
siphon or-
drought. There's no provision for infrastructure issues. As an example, we started irrigating 3 acres in the front Sunday morning at 4 a.m., 3 acres. We didn't get the water through there until Tuesday night. So even the water that is coming is taking a very, very long time. So I don't know how I'm going to get seed in my field. Other people have other issues. I think we need to look at it broadly, start by looking at the statute. And then there's a group of farmers that, you know, will get together to have the conversation, but I thought we could, and Councilor Miras said that he'll help guide us
That's
and
great.
inform you.
Yeah, and
You
is,
also might,
yeah,
you also might want to inform them that we've had a brief conversation with the county in their offices, and they're well aware of where they're coming, because they got similar complaints.
Right. And the issue is there's a statute from 1978 that doesn't take into account our situation.
and are you in contact with MRGCD?
We've had meetings with MRGCD, but they're doing the best they can, in my opinion. Not everybody shares that opinion. In my opinion, they're doing the best that they can. I was up at the siphon, well, whatever the apparatus is that's there now. I was up there and I've heard things like, oh, it was hit by lightning. And then Bobby said, oh, I can't deliver the water because something happened to the pump. So there's all kinds of infrastructure issues. So we need to look at the statute and we need to make amendments that will take into consideration our present challenges with infrastructure and drought.
So the siphon, go ahead.
Well, no, Mayor, I mean, the only thing it seems like it comes to mind now is it seems like maybe we should approach the Attorney General and see if we can get a stay on this drought business about losing their agricultural.
So the siphon was going to be replaced the summer of.
Well, I know
25.
that, but I mean, if the state is going to require that they lose their agricultural status, maybe we need an injunction that prevents the state from doing that. Is that something we could do, or?
I don't, yeah, sure we can, because I mean, you can, but the problem is that we're not probably the best entity to do that. No, we don't have quite the clout, the numbers, even though we do have a lot of farmers. But let us talk to our legislators and see if they can offer us, suggestions how to do this, because it may be time to change that anyway, because climate change is going to be an issue in the future.
Oh, yeah.
And even if we get the water coming, the water's got to come from somewhere.
Well, the state's working on a plan for water resources and it's not pretty. They're planning on, implementing it by 2030 and it's going to impact the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy.
So of course,
Right.
they're going to go look for the best and greatest use or something like that.
Can we invite our representative and senator when we have this discussion? Maybe we can just kind of. Sure.
And as I said, Mr. Mayor, we've also been talking with the county, so they're well aware, because they're the ones who had to assess that judgment against them. And they didn't want to do that under the circumstances. They said, well, we'll work with you in changing so if we can get the county, as maybe other counties as well, we'll get the Association of Counties working with us, we can put that together.
Start with the county and and then we can also talk to our legislators.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna need a sponsor. Yes.
Okay, so, Mr. McGrath, any help you can give us? Great.
Yes, thank you for that.
Is this something the municipal league could help us with too?
Municipal League's got their hands full with other things.
Okay.
Okay, any other things that people would like to see on future agendas? Okay, given that we finished the business of the council of the village, this meeting's adjourned.